In Greenland, a party that favors a gradual path to the territory's independence from Denmark has pulled off a surprise win in the parliamentary elections. Leaders there say the result sends a clear message to President Donald Trump that Greenland is not for sale. Now, the territory is in the spotlight after President Trump voiced his interest in taking control of the island. Trump told a joint session of Congress last week he thought the U.S. would get Greenland one way or the other. He did later clarify that he supports the people of Greenland's right to determine their own future. USA Today World Affairs correspondent Kim Hjelmgaard joins us now. Kim, thank you so much for being with us. This is considered an upset victory. Talk to us a little bit about the Demokraatit Party.
Yeah, you're right. From the Trump administration perspective, it is kind of the dreaded mixed result. The outcome was both surprising and not. The unsurprising part is that the Democratic Party, which is a center-right party led by Jens Friedrich Nielsen, as you noted, sort of said the result should send a clear message to Trump that Greenland is not for sale. This is a party that wants independence. It just doesn't want it straight away. Now, it's a pro-business opposition party, and what it's essentially looking to do is it wants more commercial activity in Greenland, basically to finance Greenland's welfare state. So there's schools, education, health, all that. The surprising part is the part that the party that came in second, the Nalarik party, which also wants independence, but it doesn't want it to happen as quickly as it wants it to happen more quickly. It wants closer ties to the U.S. It's just that it's stopped well short of characterizing, these ties as anything like it wants to become America's 51st state.
So what does this all mean for Trump's plans to take over Greenland?
Well, first thing we should say is we haven't heard from Trump this morning yet, since these results. Trump has not ruled out anything militarily or economically, since he started this process. Tariffs, as we're finding out, are kind of a central part of Trump, of the way that Trump seems to like to get things done. So I think it stands to reason that, he could try to sort of squeeze Greenland and Denmark together economically through tariffs. There is a sort of another point that's worth mentioning, which is essentially that this party that came in second, this Nalarik party, because they want independence so quickly, they also have said that they favor closer ties with the U.S. Even though they don't want to become part of the U.S. And so, in a sense, the White House may have found a kind of kindred spirit in one of the parties that did well in this vote. But overall, I guess I would sort of rely on what, Danish political scientists have told me in recent days, which is that basically, quote unquote, quote, unless Trump does something sort of nuts, end quote, in the form of an aggression or a crazy reaction, they don't think that anything is going to happen straight away, and that, Greenland over the long term will probably get independence. It could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years away.
All right, Kim Hjelmgaard from USA Today, thank you so much for being with us.